Welcome to this episode of the Doggin It Show. I'm super excited for this, guys. I mean, since I started podcasting, I can remember thinking about somebody like Jeanette Lee coming on the podcast, and I have to pinch myself because she's here today. So I don't know about you guys, but I'm super excited about this.
Yeah, what's not to get excited about having Jeanette on the show. We got the documentary coming up next Tuesday on ESPN 30 for 30 next Tuesday night, be 8 o'clock Eastern time, and so yeah, we're going to talk to her about that a little bit and share a little bit of insight. It's going to be fun.
Yeah,
I'm
so let
nervous.
us know if you can hear us and see us okay.
Molina's nervous
Yeah.
Let us know in the
after
chat if you
she
can hear us and
after
see us
she
okay.
greeted
We want
you
to
and
make
the
sure
whole
everybody
thing.
can hear. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry, Pinozo.
No,
I just want to
that's
make sure everybody can hear and see okay before we get into this. So hit up the chat. Let us know you can hear and see okay. And we got it like a little clip from that 30 for 30 to kind of tease this a little bit. So here it goes.
Roll.
The first ever $1 million pool room. The room owner, Gabe Vigorito, one night came to lock up. He was just standing there looking at me and said, "You need a nickname because you're going to be a champion." I've got the nickname, the Black Widow. And I'm going, how do I remind you of a Black Widow? I'm super nice. And he said, remember that first day I saw you? You're smiling to your friends, you're grabbing your cue, chalking it up, doing whatever. And then boom, everything changed. In Black wants to kill.
oh, that's great stuff.
Well, here she is.
Jeanette, welcome.
Hello. I'm so happy to be here.
No, we're excited to have you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. You're in New York right now. You're doing an event tomorrow at Amsterdam Billiards ahead of the release of the documentary on Tuesday. So this is an exciting
Yes.
couple of days coming up for you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Busy.
I just know that Greg Hunt, the owner of Amsterdam Billiard Club, he was deeply disturbed when he found out that I had ovarian cancer because I've known Greg since I began. I mean, literally beginner. And so he's seen me through a lot of years. And so he wanted me to do a show, but I was not in condition last year
Right.
to be able to fly or do anything, just because the chemo was so fresh. And so this year I've tried a little bit, to travel, but this will be my first pool event.
What how is your health these days? How are you feeling? You look terrific.
Thank
Yeah.
you. I'm trying to grow out my hair. So I don't know how how growing out your hair can be really
We
bad.
know.
So we'll see. how
Melina Mike doesn't know. He doesn't have any.
He's got jokes.
So we're trying, but yeah,
Yeah.
my health is pretty good overall. I do get kind of forgetful sometimes when I'm talking. I'll forget what I'm talking about. And so then I'll have to ask, and it's very embarrassing. And I also still struggle with fatigue a lot, like just simple things
Yeah.
that used to be no problem with me. Now it's like I just feel tired over every little thing. I find
Yeah.
myself needing to nap more often, and
Yeah.
that's annoying.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, you
Jeanette,
seem to be-
I'm actually.
Go ahead,
Oh,
Jim.
sorry, Mike. Well, I was
No,
going to
go
say
ahead.
I'm actually a survivor myself, and I remember hearing the news about you. And one of the things for me, I travel quite a bit, and I'll be on airplanes and talk to people, and they find out that I play pool and I do a pool podcast, and everyone says the same thing. Do you know the Black Widow? Uh, and just kind of observing the outpouring of support that you had, can you take us through that, like what that was like for you with how everybody kind of came together on that?
It was really incredible. I mean, a number of people that I really thought just hated me reached out and said, I've always admired you and loved you and this and that. And I'm like, really? It's so sweet. But yeah, I mean, people came out of the woodworks, including a number of celebrities that I've known, that the news got to them somehow. And it was just so heartwarming, to
Yeah.
just, I felt I felt like the world was holding me up. Like I was getting weaker by the second from the cancer and then from the chemo, because chemo will knock the crap out of you,
Yeah, I bet.
you know? And so it was a scary thing, but in the end,
Yeah,
we're
everybody's
triumphant.
yeah, and
We
everybody's
are
behind you. And
free.
do you feel like everybody's support impacted your recovery, your being able to get through it?
Yes. Yes. I really believe that. I really believe that because you get so dark, things it gets so scary. I mean, I'm stage 4.
Yeah,
It's real. It's all through my body. And I'm just
yeah,
looking at these 3 girls, my 3 daughters still living in my house, and just trying to imagine them trying to grow up without a mom.
yeah,
And just having that thought and having that was my biggest motivator. But you still get weak.
yeah,
You
sure.
know what you have to do. You have to get up, you have to fight it, you got to do what you need to do. But there is a side that is very sad and very scared. And I think that that's what the support and the fans did for me. It was like I could never get really down because there were so many people lifting me up.
Yeah, that's neat.
And I
That's really
really
cool.
felt it. I felt so loved
Yeah.
and
What
so
made you
supported.
what made you make that decision to go public with it? Because it's such a personal battle, and you can be vulnerable at times, and there can be some dark, difficult moments, like you said. But what what point or what led you to decide I'm gonna make this public and share your journey with the world, basically?
Because when something really bad happens, I usually try to find um, I need to know that this was for a purpose. Like I need that. I need to believe that God had a plan. I just don't know what it is yet, you know? And um, I think that faith really helped me.
Yeah.
And if I just kept it quiet, then I struggle alone. I don't get that support.
Right.
Um, I just withdraw everywhere and nobody understanding why. But the biggest motivator to become public is because I believe that my journey is not the first one out there. There's a lot of people that are suffering with cancer in all different ways, particularly ovarian cancer, but a lot of cancer. And I think that it's important for them to know that they're not alone, that there's more of us, and that we can encourage each other, to stay up and stay on. And that's pretty much what I try to do when I go there. I mean, when I'm
Yeah.
really, really dark, I don't, just because I really shut everyone out, sometimes when it gets too hard.
Right.
But
Yeah.
in general, I try to stay very real on what I say on my page.
Yeah, you sure do.
It comes
You sure-
through 1,000,000%. It comes through that it's
Mhm.
the
Yeah.
sincerity.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, there's not much more public way to share your story with everybody than a documentary on ESPN.
Yeah, that's how
So
we roll. You know what I
so
mean?
that's coming up. So that's about as public as you can get. So walk us through a little bit about how you got contacted about it and what your first thought was, whether you were really up for going ahead with this kind of project, because it's very personal, it's very intense, and it's not something that happens overnight. What was your thought? How did this all come about, and what was your first thought as far as taking this on?
The first time I believe the first time I heard about it was that Octagon, someone at Octagon had this idea and was bringing us all together. So Tom was a producer for it, and a number of other people. And I trusted them. I just trusted Words and Pictures because I got a sense that they were very protective of me. I felt that, and very caring about how they handled all my possessions, because I literally gave them like big containers full of just photos and videos of the last 40 years. Yeah, I mean, that's a lot of photos. That's a lot of photos. I mean, it's a million pictures of a zillion celebrities, and it's a million pictures of every one of my 6 children.
Yeah. Yeah. They
And
said
they're
that they said that they don't think they've ever dealt with anybody who gave them more information and more background stuff than you did.
there was a lot, and it was scary to give them, I had to trust them.
Yeah.
But I think they did a great job, and they were very sensitive to how I felt about things. They were always asking, "Do you like this? Is this okay?" And I just felt really good about the whole journey, because it was a long one.
Yeah, it was. When did you first start? When did they first start the process? What month? Do you remember?
I think when I came in here to New York, it was right after I had a really bad accident
That was in January then, or late
in
January, early
January.
February.
Yeah.
Okay.
You've
So
always
yeah, it
kind of
was a
been
long process.
you've always been the face of pool. It seems like ever since I can remember, growing up watching pool on ESPN. At what point did you realize what kind of ambassador role that you really played from the sport to the general public? Like, did it ever just the light bulb went off and here I am?
You're saying, did
Like in so as your career progressed and we've seen you on Budweiser commercials and on advertising all over the place, and at what point did it kind of dawn on you that, oh boy, I'm that I'm that bridge between pool players and the general public here? Like, when someone asks about pool, the first person they always think of is the Black Widow.
a lot of work went behind building the Black Widow brand, Black Widow name, and even in my career earlier, I had Jeanette Lee, the Black Widow. But it's amazing how many people can't remember Jeanette Lee, but they remember the Black Widow.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I'll go to a sporting event and all kinds of people are going, "That's the Black Widow. Hey, Black Widow." I mean, one time I had Shaquille O'Neal and Reggie Miller both on the floor playing, getting ready for the game, and somehow they saw me in the seats. So they were yelling, "Hey, Black Widow." Widow. And I'm like, "Holy," and everyone's pointing. I'm looking and looking. And it was the basketball players on the floor getting ready to play a game. And they're like, "Yo." Yeah.
Can't tell you how many times it's happened to me.
Those aren't just any basketball players, because Reggie Miller was a star of the Pacers and Shaquille, who knows what team he was on, but those are marquee names, all stars,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hall of Famers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Cool stuff.
they're pretty cool. They love and they love pool.
Out of all the people that you met outside of pool, all the other celebrities, is there any person or story that kind of comes to mind that's like a real highlight for you?
Does what come in mind?
Any person or any story about, an experience that you had with celebrities outside of pool kind of come to your mind? Anything you could
Well,
share?
definitely the first one that comes to mind is years ago. I don't know how many years ago, but over 20 years ago. I met a little boy when I was on a plane going to San Diego. And after that, I mean, I met him and his father because they were sitting near me. And so I was talking to them about pool. And then afterwards, I asked them if they wanted to go have lunch. I was in love with this little boy. And his name was Reggie. So then later on, I was at the ESPY Awards. Okay, so this little boy, I take him to lunch. I invite them to come to my tournament, and they showed up. They came these guys that I met on the plane, they came, and him and his wife and Reggie and I think a brother or something. They all came, and I introduced them, to see the tournament. We had lunch together. He asked me for my autograph, which I gave to him. I asked him for his autograph, which he gave to me. But he didn't have one on him. He mailed me a school picture, one of those little wallet-sized school pictures. And on the
Yeah.
back, it said Reggie. So fast forward a bunch of years, I'm doing the ESPY Awards, the red carpet. I'm talking to celebrities as they go in. But I was told that a guy who was like a father to me, my mentor in pool, where I started, he was dying. And so, it made me very upset. But as time went on, I was like, you know what? I'm not going to, because I was supposed to go home for a week, pack up, and then head there because I didn't know how long I was going to have to be there. But it just, something inside me just kept saying, no, go now. So I decided to completely abandon the ESPY Award the rest of that night. And I took a red eye to go see Jeanette Lee. And by the way, he died in my arms within 20 minutes of my arrival.
Mm.
And okay, so anyway, going back to Reggie, Tom George, I'm calling him and I'm trying to get on this plane. And I said, Tom, hey, he said, so how'd it go? And I said, oh, it was really great. And I met this young man at the ESPY Awards, and he was behind the curtain, as was I, backstage. Because they only allow at the ESPY Awards, you can't just keep just going in and out. They have certain breaks where they'll let people go sit down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
Commercial breaks or whatever. So we were waiting for our break to go sit down, but I had decided that I wasn't going to go. But my friend was out there who said she would love an extra ticket. So I was going to give my tickets to her. And then there was a guy behind the stage and he's like, hi. I said, hi. He said, you don't remember me, do you? And I said, no, I'm sorry. I don't remember you. And he said, it's Reggie. I said, Reggie? He said, yeah, I met you when I was like 8 or 9 years old. And you took us to La Tech. And he remembered the name of the restaurant, Taqueria, Eria, something like that.
Taqueria.
Yeah,
Mexican
something
restaurant.
like that. But anyway, he remembered that. He remembered me going to the tournament. And he said that I was what he told me was that I was the sole person that changed him to, like, everything that he does to give back to people. He did because I inspired him by the way that I treated him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was really touching. And then I said, well, do you have, and I have that picture, but he said, do you have any events or anything? I said, no. And I said, well, do you play pool? I said, sometimes I have like these pool fundraisers and it'd be great for you to show up. And he said, well, no. And I said, oh, that's okay. I started to walk away and he was like, well, I can still come, right? Even if I'm not very good, I can still show up. And I said, oh yeah, whatever. And so he wanted my number and I gave him my BlackBerry at the time. We switched and he gave me his info on there. I gave him my info and we switched back. So later on, when I'm on the airport, I'm telling Tom, oh, there was this nice guy. And he said that he grew up and he did all this other stuff. And isn't that sweet that he remembered me after all this time? And Tom said, Jeanette, I'm walking in the airport. He said, Jeanette, you need to stop and just focus. He said, Reggie, who? And I said, it's just Reggie. I've always called him Reggie. I don't know. And he said, Reggie who? And I said, I don't know. He said that he was there for an award at the ESPY Awards. Something to do, he plays football. And so he was like, okay. But it turned out that I said, oh, but he gave me his phone number. So let me look it up. So I looked up at the frequent whatever, and it said Reggie Bush. And I
Reggie
said,
Bush.
Mom, it's Reggie Bush.
The USC star running back, Reggie Bush.
Yeah, he's only
Are you
collecting the
sure?
Heisman while he's there.
A Heisman Trophy winner. Yeah.
And I said, well, it says Reggie Bush. And he told me he won like an award. So he was at the ESPY Award for another award having to do with football.
Yeah, like
And he
player of
did
the
say
year.
Heisman, but I didn't know what that was.
Wow.
But
I'm so glad
think
I
that's
asked
a
that.
cool little story because
Yeah, that's
he
a great
he sent me this
story.
huge jersey that said, everything I do good is because of you. You really inspired me to be a better person, or something like that.
Yeah,
Wow.
That's cool. That's pretty amazing.
That is
That's
cool,
great.
right?
Oh,
Super cool.
it's off
Yeah.
the hook.
Because
Yeah.
he was so sweet to me. I mean, I remember him as a little boy, but when I saw him as a young adult, he was really
Yeah.
sweet. He had a genuine
Yeah.
smile, and yeah, he was nice.
Yeah, nice.
And he had a beautiful girlfriend, knocked out, dead, gorgeous, turned around, and it was like, oh. And I didn't know that she was. I mean, he named her as he said, "This is my girlfriend Kim," and I was like, "Oh, hi, nice to meet you." Because he invited me to an all-star something at New Orleans with celebrity whatever people benefit for the hurricane that they had. New Orleans.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was playing for
He
the
played for the
Saints.
Saints. Yeah.
Katrina.
Yeah, Katrina.
Yeah.
So he was raising money there. So I had come for that, and he was really excited. And he introduced me to his girlfriend Kim. And then I think a month later, maybe less, I started getting all these texts and people that went, "I didn't know you were on the Kardashians." And I'm like, "Kardashians?" I'm like, I was never on some show called Kardashians. I swear I saw you on it. You were on it. And I'm like, I think I would know if I was on the Kardashians. And but honestly, I never watched it. I just heard of the Kardashians, these beautiful family.
Yeah.
But
Well,
it was cool because it turned out to be Kim Kardashian. And I guess while I was at the event, whoever films the Kardashians was probably following her around.
Yeah.
So when she was talking to me and meeting with me, somehow that got
That's
covered
wild.
and played. Yeah.
Wow. What a great story.
Yeah.
What a great story.
So you end up going from being on a Kardashian to now, as a main story of being on a 30 for 30. And
That's right.
And you're on the Doggin It podcast. So everything is looking up. Everything is looking up.
When you first started that, Jeanette, and I know you've been open and honest with people from the beginning and, letting everyone know as far as your journey, what was off limits, if anything, whenever you started doing this 30 for 30? What kind of limitations did you put as far as what they're able to show or things like that?
I was really good because I felt like, I don't have any skeletons in my closet. I'm pretty just me all the time. There's a competitive me on the table, and then there's the dorky me who's not on the table.
Yeah.
And so it works out. Yeah.
The during the whole process, because as you said, it went from February to late into the summer before they were kind of done with everything, and
July.
you were in New York and they came to Tampa and all of that stuff. How were you feeling during that whole process? Did you have ups and downs? Did they put off on some production for a while you kind of recovered? How did it all go? Did you think you were going to get through the whole thing?
Well, there were a lot of complications when I was in New York. And from another car accident that I had where I landed on my head first down a stairwell. And so it really affected my thinking and my ability to focus. sometimes reading comprehension, like I have to read something several times to absorb it. It's like I'll read it and I'll say it, but nothing stays. I feel like it's a comprehension thing.
Yeah.
But I'm with speech therapy right now, who's trying to help me with my memory and some of these things. They feel like I could maybe get some of it back, which would be
Yeah.
great because I've lost a lot of memory.
Yeah.
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 What did your family and friends think when they heard that this is what you're going to be doing and you're going to be filming an ESPN 30 for 30?
Yeah, they're so proud.
Yeah.
They're so proud of me. I mean, ridiculous. I mean, of course, my mom and dad, they're supposed to be excited. You know, my children are actually, they're not that excited. It's just their famous mom doing her thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I like the fact that when they watch the film, they'll get kind of what it really showed me my journey and my competitiveness and things that they didn't see because they're, you know, young,
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
So
when
with
they
this,
got old enough to remember things, I was already, you know, starting to not be able to play because the pain was getting so extreme.
Right.
so with this 30 for 30, and recently Shane Van Boning was just on 60 Minutes. Do you think that this type of exposure is really going to help kind of bring pool back? I know we're all hoping for that. We're all hoping for pool on TV again. And do you think this could kind of do that?
I'm sure hoping it does. Because there is a certain amount of, I guess, pressure that I put on myself. Not really anyone imposing it on me, but I always feel like I should have done more. I could have done more. I feel disappointed that pool is where it is right now, because it makes me feel like all the hard work I did and all the attention and our ratings were high and all this stuff, and it's just all gone. So then it makes me feel like everything I did was for nothing, you know? But obviously that's a loser attitude. So,
I don't think many people would agree with you in the least in that regard, Jeanette. You know, you think you've been a phenomenal ambassador. I got four girls, and I've been, you know, on my couch on Sunday mornings watching, watching you guys play pool, you know, for years, you know, and you were an inspiration. I'm sure you've heard this story countless times throughout your career of how you've inspired people without even them knowing it. And I'm sure a lot can be said with what you've done with your journey through cancer, and then now, you know, filming it for ESPN. And I'm sure you're going to continue to inspire and have nothing but the most things to be proud for.
yeah, that's the plan. I just became the ambassador. I think I'm maybe their newest ambassador for the V Foundation, the Jimmy Valvano.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, that Jimmy Valvano started.
Right.
Right.
And we have Coach K and a number of different people, Dick Vitale, that are all kind of helping in with the V Foundation, who primarily focuses on cancer research. But we have real proof of what we've been able to do and how much we've been able to raise directly with it going to the research for cancer. Dick Vitale focuses on, and Jimmy Valvano was more about pediatric cancer. But
Right.
the V Foundation is for all cancers, like Stuart Scott's.
Right. Right.
One of the
Exactly.
best speeches, along with Jimmy V's. I've watched that Jimmy V speech
Yeah.
probably 100 times. You know,
Don't
it's
give
just
up.
Talk
Don't
yeah,
ever
talk
give
about
up.
never give up.
motivational. Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing.
hmm
Yeah, so that's a great cause for you to be involved with, and I'm sure being involved with it helps you, you know, just stay busy and stay active and keep your mind looking
And stay
forward
positive.
and stay positive. And I kind of one of the things I wondered was during the whole process of the filming and the putting together of this, do you look back on this at all and think, I'm glad this happened because it was during a time that it really kind of kept me busy and kept me focused on something. And I wasn't sitting home dwelling on my illness. I was all involved in this project in a weird sort of way. Did that help you during that whole period?
Yeah, I mean, I just I was I was struggling physically, but I was very much excited about the idea that we were going to be able to like memorialize my presence in this world, you know,
Mhm.
in a tangible way, because yeah, I don't know if there was anything left for people to focus on. And I think that this, having this cancer was like, well, first of all, it made me do a lot more physical testing to find out a lot more things, that was really helpful. But I really felt like, this this film allowed me to focus on that, and I was so desperate for it. It was like, if you're going to tell my story, tell it right. I've got more pictures, I've got more stuff. And they kept saying, well, send it. And I'm like, how much? All of it. And I was like, cool, let's go. And I can tell you a story about every single, just pull up a picture and I'll tell you what that story was, you know, because I have pictures with me with Muhammad Ali and with Bill Cosby and, um, Sharon Stone and Gina Davis and, all kinds of really cool people that love pool. And I was like, what? And quite a few of them I met at the Women's Sports Foundation, which was founded by Billie Jean King. And
Right.
yeah, I learned a lot. I learned a lot there. And they're the ones, Women's Sports Foundation, that made me think beyond pool. I feel like before that, I was just number one in the world. And
Yeah.
it was like a title. To me, it was just another title, because when I got to number one, I thought I'd be a lot better. But no, when I got to number one in the women's, I still sucked, And I
So
was like, man, I am not good enough. And so then my goal, because my original goal was to get to number one. But when I got to number one, I still wasn't even close to where the men that I'd been playing is at. And it annoyed me. So I started building my game stronger and stronger. And I kept doing that. And my knowledge definitely increased, but eventually my game, when you're not playing all the time, you kind of lose that muscle memory. It doesn't feel like it's on a track. It kind of feels like it's wiggling a little bit on the way back. And so I've had to kind of try to wake my game up.
yeah,
But it is
you
fun if you're
you
playing a man.
talked about the Women's Sports Foundation changing a little bit the way you looked at things. Did it just made you look at things outside of pool in terms of your impact on people and helping people and having a greater purpose?
Good question.
What they did was, when I got there, I was number one in billiards, and they invited me to their annual salute to women in sports. Annual, Women's Sports Foundation, something of sports. And they treated me like I was the greatest athlete that ever lived. I mean, I felt so important. They went out of grabbed my chair for me and put my stuff here. I'll hold this. And I was just like, wow. I mean, I felt like a queen. And over the years, they just truly believe that whether you're famous or not, you're a champion in your own right, in your own sport, no matter how little it is. And it's something to celebrate. So that's one thing, giving me kudos. But then there's the other thing about, if I was willing to push myself beyond just being a pool player, not that that's a bad thing, but if you want to grow your sport and bring exposure to your sport, you have to be willing to step outside of your sport. Look for opportunities to spread the word. So even when I'm talking about ovarian cancer, I'm going to bring stories and things regarding my career and how those things affected me. You know what I mean? And kind of bring relevance to everything that, everything that happened to me and what it meant.
Right.
Do
Did
you
I
miss
answer?
competing?
Yeah.
Do you miss competing, Jeanette?
Yes, very much. It's like a hard itch that just won't go away. It's annoying. It is because I can't. I mean, I tried playing, but I don't have the stamina.
Yeah, it's hard.
For some reason, my fatigue gets me really tired quickly, and so now I'm great. I feel good. I have energy, but then after a little while, I'm like ready to pass out, and everyone's like, "Go to bed. Go to bed. Go to bed. Rest. Rest.
Yeah.
Rest." And then
Yeah.
again, I'm fine again, but I can't go the whole day and not rest because then I'm no good.
We've seen a resurgence when it comes to the women's game. WPBA events have been going on pretty frequently, including right now. You have the Women's World 9 Ball, which was just re-announced. The Women's World 10 Ball, after about 10 years, was brought back. What are your thoughts on the state of the game
Well,
for
who was the producer of that?
Predator?
Predator is doing the Women's
Predator.
World 9 Ball
Okay.
and
Yeah.
Women's World
Cool.
10 Ball. Yeah. 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 So it's,
That's
a lot of good stuff going on.
What
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on the state of the game for women right now, Jeanette?
I think everyone's working as hard as they can with what they have to build this sport. So all I want to do is, I can leave the criticism to other people, but for me, anyone that's making an effort, it's a good thing.
Sure.
And some people could say they should have done this instead or that instead, but no matter what they're trying, and I'm happy for that. I'm thankful for that.
Yeah.
Early in this interview, Jeanette, I know your prognosis is good now and your outlook's good. And early in this interview, you mentioned something about God's plan, and I'm curious where in 5, 10 years, where do you see that playing out? Like, what do you think God has in store for you?
I was really thinking that, it wouldn't be awful if I just did start. I mean, if I get better, I feel like I'm going to keep getting better, and hopefully my brain will too. But, getting stronger where I could play. And if I could play and get to a level that I feel like was competitive, I might go back and play. And I was like, yeah, why not? Let's be number one. What's to stop me? And I mean, I had so much talent and I was never able to put in enough time ever to really get to the level that I wanted to. By the time I was, towards the end, I was practicing less and less and less. And I still stayed in the top 3 for like 3 years or something, And so I feel like I can hopefully do something with that.
Yeah.
That's right.
How oh, go
Go ahead,
ahead,
Mike. No.
No, like I mentioned before, and I'm curious how much of an inspiration have they been for you? How much have they helped motivate you? How much have they helped pick you up during tough days? And how much have they been just there for you and for you to lean on your kids?
Right. You said they.
Your kids.
Your kids.
Oh,
Your
you're
girls.
asking how
Yeah.
my kids handled it.
Yeah.
And just
Yeah.
how they've been there for you.
Oh. So my kids, obviously, they all cried, but Savannah. Savannah's my youngest. She cried later, but she was just shocked, I think. And she was angry, I think. Not at me, but just like
Right.
my mom's been through enough. She's already been like raising us from the bed, And now this, it was like, are you kidding me? And I understood her because I still have ankylosing spondylitis, which is a serious disease. It's an autoimmune disease and it's extremely painful. And because of my cancer, they stopped giving me my Humira infusions. And it just, I had to have more. And my girls were, Mommy, I'm bringing you food. Or, so Cheyenne would come in. She checks on me every hour ever since. No matter what, if she doesn't see me for an hour at home, she'll come to my bedroom and go, hi, Mom, everything okay? You need anything? Okay, bye, Mom. Or she'll stay and show me one of her anime stories that she's been watching or something she's been reading and writing. And my other daughters, like with the food, and they put all these thumbtacks on the wall by my bedroom, and we have masks hanging up, and it'll say Cheyenne, Chloe, Savannah, Mark, Jeanette, whoever that comes, so that every time they enter my room, they could put on their mask and go in and serve me food and not feel like they're risking me. But they've had to sacrifice. I mean, I made them stay out of school for a while and do homeschool, which they hated. They wanted to be at school around other kids, but it was too dangerous for me. I was in the middle of chemo. I was so vulnerable. I was really so vulnerable. I was at that time. So my kids were my heroes,
Yeah.
and they would write me cute notes. And one of my friends made me a love box. And I was like, what's a love box? And it looks like a treasure chest thing. And it said, you know, love something something mom. I can't remember right now. But when you open it, it has all these different pictures that they've drawn for me in the past, and cards and things like that they found. And they put all of the things that were really sweet and meaningful in there, so that whenever I feel down, I can open it and read some of the things on there. I thought it was really, really considerate.
Yeah, it's cute.
Yeah. So I've been looking forward to anything that anyone writes that's really special, and I'm sticking it in that box.
Yeah.
They're scared. They're scared. They know, because everyone has told them that ovarian cancer always comes back. Always. And so it's just a matter of whether or not you can beat it again. And then it'll come back, and then can you beat it again? And sometimes you wait 15 years and then boom, it comes back.
Yeah, I think that's the problem that every cancer survivor faces, right? Is when is it coming back? Is it coming back? For me, it's been 20 years and I still think about that, right? And just curious what you do to kind of cope with those concerns, those thoughts, like um, anything?
To be honest, I just ignore them. I have the thoughts, like you said, but I'm like, okay, listen, I don't have time for that. My girls need me, so we're going to do what we need to do. And
Right.
I love that.
that's what kept me from ever going too far, too deep, too sad. I can't control it. I can't control when it's coming back. So all I can do is try to make my time on this earth count. That I've been given the opportunity to take another good look at my life and maybe make some changes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You've got to look for what opportunities can you find to make your life joyful, and to make my children joyful and happy and feel safe and comforted, and that other family members. I've been taking these trips so that my daughters can get more familiar with my cousins and because we live in Tampa and we lived in Indianapolis before then. So they haven't spent a ton of time in New York, just when we gather for Christmas and things like that. But now, since the cancer, I'm taking extra trips for them to spend more time, with different people in my family, so that if something happens to me, they still know people in my family, because if something happens to me, they'll go to my ex-husband, their father. And I don't think that he would go out of his way for the children to stay in touch with my family.
Right, with your family. Yeah.
Yeah, because when we lived in Indiana, everything was about his family.
Yeah. So speaking of family, and I want to get back to the documentary a little bit. When did you actually see the final product? What was your initial response to it? And what did your family think of it?
Product?
The final documentary.
Oh, the documentary. I'm sorry. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
it's all right.
I
No,
missed it. What did you say? What
I
was?
said, when did you actually see the documentary in its final form for the first time? What was your reaction to it? Right after you got done seeing it for the first time, what was your reaction to it? And then what was your family's reaction to it?
Um, what? I saw it in October.
October, okay.
I've got an angel whispering next to me to remind me
Believe me,
before I
he's
can.
he's an angel. I know what he goes through. He's an angel.
We've been together like almost 3 decades,
Yeah,
so we put
yeah,
up with each other.
yeah. No, he's the greatest. So you saw it in October. What
He's family.
when the last minute of that documentary finished, what were your thoughts?
I was definitely fascinated and engaged, and I was happy with just the way that everything was portrayed, stayed very real for me, which was really important. It wasn't about trying to make the Black Widow look good. It's that I'm human and I go through all these real things just like everyone else. And we just have to keep going. And as much as you're there for me, I'm here for you. And I want to support you. And I want you to see how I get through this, you know, and,
Yeah,
and that you
great.
can too. And for me, I'm just gonna try to keep making a difference. I always want to make my children um, just to really be. I don't know. I just want them to see the good that I did. And when I watched the movie, I I kind of was, and I'm very embarrassed to say this, but to be honest, I just was like, wow, I looked really vain in that.
You
And
look
I
really vain, you think?
and I said, but if that's the way they're portraying me, then I must be that vain. But I didn't think I was that vain.
No,
But
no, I didn't.
saying it's vain, and I'm like, well, but I'm still the same me.
Right.
But everyone else after they watch, they're like, you don't look vain.
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
not vain. You do what you need to do, but you're not always worried about,
yeah.
I don't know.
What did your family think of it?
But the movie itself, I loved.
Yeah.
But I was like, can you make me look less vain? Can you put in some more things that I'm doing nice things for people? I went like 3 years going to George's grandmother's nursing home and held her hand and painted her nails every week, fresh. She had the hottest nails in the whole nursing home. And then eventually I had other patients there that goes, do mine. So we ended up, but it got too hard for me because some of them, as soon as I uncurl their hands and do it, if I let go of a finger, it automatically curls back up and messes it up. Then I had to start bringing my son John and Cheyenne, and they would sit there and hold
Hold
the
their
hands
hands,
out.
fingers.
And I'm like, hold it steady. And then years later, I said, I just realized you guys never complained about the fact that we were going there. We said no to a lot of different things, picnics or different things, because that was the day we were going to go to grandma's and do her nails. And then later on, they said, well, we really think that it was a super nice thing, so it didn't bother us to do it.
No, good kids. Yeah,
Yeah.
good kids.
The
My
title of
mom,
the documentary. Oh, go ahead, Jeanette.
sorry, he's reminding me, someone asked me, what did my family think?
Right, Mike.
Yeah,
They all loved it. There was
yeah,
no negative comments at all.
good.
They were like, wow, it's so good. It's so exciting. And, stuff like that. And
Yeah.
obviously everything couldn't have been in the movie.
Right. No,
They
no.
know a lot of stories about me. I guess
Yeah.
they didn't grill my family enough to get all the stories on a personal level. But we did get to go back to my hometown, down in Brooklyn where I used to
Right.
live, where I grew up. So that was really cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
The title of the documentary is Jeanette Lee versus, and I want to know what does that title mean for you personally?
it's just every battle that I've had to overcome, everything that's just been thrown my way. I mean, all of those surgeries, each and every one, I'm like, another one? Like how much, how much can you do? And I stand here today and literally every bone from my neck to my, sciatic, I mean, my
Coccyx.
yeah, coccyx, is fused. I mean, everything's fused. I can't I can turn at the knee, but this can't turn and it can't bend. My posture is always like, I don't know if you ever see on TV all my matches, but there's never a
Yeah.
curve to my back like most
Yeah.
people.
Flat
It's just
out.
a plank.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
hard. But my family really loved every bit of it. So I was really happy for that because I was worried about, things that I said or maybe my kids said. And I don't know.
What was there
So
something you thought of where you were like, I hope they don't put this on there?
I take the fifth.
good call. So it's interesting what you said about the title Jeanette Lee versus, because I I did get a chance to see the documentary. I did go to the premiere in New York,
Thank you.
and I thought it was the coolest title because, and I want people to pay attention to this when they watch the documentary, all the layers that this documentary takes into account. It's on ESPN and it's a sports station and it's about a pool player, but it's not. It's about so much more. And I think the Versus was such a great title because it's Jeanette versus racism, Jeanette versus physical
Being a woman in
ailments,
a man's world,
Jeanette being a woman, Jeanette being a woman playing pool,
being an
Jeanette
Asian
facing
woman.
cancer, being Asian, all that. It's Jeanette, all these battles that this woman has gone through, and I think that they did a fantastic job of portraying that through this documentary. And I hope everybody, when they watch it, look at it from that standpoint and that viewpoint, not just as a documentary about a pool player, because it's so much more than that. And that's why when I saw the title and then I saw the documentary, I thought this was absolutely the perfect title for this documentary.
Guys, this documentary, if you're just joining, this documentary is Tuesday night, December 13th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on ESPN. It's ESPN 30 for 30. Is it on ESPN or ESPN2?
ESPN.
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 Yeah.
So make sure to tune into that. And then afterwards, I believe you're going to be on a podcast. Is that right, Jeanette?
Yeah, with
Yeah,
APA.
tell us about that. APA podcast?
And Mike, will you be there?
I will be there. So what, after, as soon as this documentary is done, the documentary will be done 9:00 Eastern Time, 8:00 Central Time, 6:00 Pacific Time, and 7:00 in there. I have no idea what the mountain zone's about. I have no idea what state. Nobody knows what mountain time is. But anyways,
Try Arizona time. We don't change for daylight savings.
So, but as soon as the documentary is over, on the APA, American Pool Players Association Facebook page, they're going to be doing a live after show. They're going to have some guests on there and some studio panel, including, I think, so. I don't know if Ursula or a producer or someone from the documentary is going to be on there to kind of discuss what everybody just saw. So it's kind of like that talking dead approach to, after the episode, let's review this and see what we saw. So definitely drop into that on the APA Facebook page right after the documentary Tuesday night. And that should be some really interesting conversation there as well.
Yeah, I think I was also reading that as soon as it airs on ESPN, afterward it'll be available on ESPN Plus, so you can
Correct.
get it through that app and be able to watch that, and let folks know about it, because even if you think that people who don't really care that much about pool, I guarantee they know the Black Widow. Everybody I talk to does, and so get it out there. Let's get it out there. Let's make this one of the most watched 30 for 30s ever. And, Jeanette, just one other thing I have for you. When you think about the amount of people that play pool in this country, or the world rather, but let's just say this country, I don't know, 1 million people, close to probably. everybody is touched in some way by cancer. If it's not them, it's someone they know, it's someone close to them, and you're that figure in pool that everybody knows. Everybody knows you. And I'm just curious with what you've gone through and the struggle and how you're doing now. Do you have any encouraging words for folks out there that might be a pool player or somebody who loves pool, but they're dealing with a situation like this with their family or themselves?
Yeah, I feel like if I had to write my own story at the end of my life, I think a lot of people would be sad for me, you know, that I left, and they'll feel bad. But and so I'll have that pity, and I'll deserve their pity because I did go through a lot of crap. But if I can just hold on and push away the negative thoughts, which you cannot do, it's very hard to just push away those negative thoughts unless you can fill it with something else.
Mm.
Fill your mind up. Focusing on something else is the best way to keep something away. You know what I mean? Rather than me just going through my life and just trying to push, push, push. It's too hard. There has to be some kind of level of commitment. And at the end of my story, if I can just survive this and continue to live and fight this and look for the positive and look for opportunities to make a difference because of this, then that has to be inspiring,
It
Sure.
is.
right?
It is.
So how do I want my story to end? Do I want to be pitied or do I want to be inspiring? And for me, that was the choice.
Yeah.
I could have done
Interesting.
either,
Yeah.
you know?
Well, we're glad
I
you
love
chose to
that.
be inspiring.
Thank you. Thank
Without a
you.
doubt. We appreciate you coming on, and congratulations on being on the 30 for 30. This is one of my favorite shows ever. We've done a lot. But you're an icon and
Thank you.
a great ambassador for the sport, and we can't thank you enough for being here.
Yeah. Thanks,
Thank
Jeanette.
you. I really appreciate you guys wanting to make this happen and, giving us the courage because we know that you have a nice following as well.
Yeah.
So
Well,
thank you guys. Hopefully I'll be able to do another one with you guys,
absolutely. We insist.
Anytime.
We're gonna hold you to it.
Yeah,
Anytime.
absolutely.
Yeah, for all of you guys who tuned in Tuesday night, December 13th, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, ESPN 30 for 30. If you don't catch it there, ESPN Plus after that, Jeanette Lee versus. Don't miss it. Thanks so much, Jeanette.
Thank you very much, guys. And if you guys want to follow me, my hashtag is, Twitter is Black Widow. My Instagram is Jeanette Lee. And I have done much more on Facebook. So my bigger following, I guess, is on Facebook. And it's Jeanette Lee, the Black Widow page.
Awesome.
We'll make a flyer and we'll send it over to you, and then we'll post it all over all of our pages as well.
And
all your
you
tags.
two can maybe friend request me. And then I'll just accept you as my friends because
He's talking to me and Mike, Joey, not you, buddy.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you're gonna friend them. I've sent you requests for like 5 years. You haven't.
Yeah, but Mike Molina is the best podcaster in the world. So
there you
that
go.
hurt my heart when you said that today, Jeanette. It hurt my
I'm
heart.
sorry, you thought I was talking to you?
I taught
was
Molina
talking to
Mike
Mike,
everything
my
he
baby
knows. I taught him everything he knows, just not everything I know. It just hurt
I'm
my heart.
retiring.
That's
I
right.
can't go any higher. This is it. I'm already at the pinnacle.
That's a mic drop moment right there.
This has been so fun. Thank you, Jeanette.
You're welcome.